Welcome to Mission in Motion, brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is our space where we share the stories of our amazing team members. Through their voices, we celebrate the everyday moments, embrace the challenges, and are reminded of the deep sense of purpose that drives us all forward. So, speaking of awesome people who are doing incredible things across the network, I am thrilled to welcome Debbie Hayes, President and CEO of the Christ Hospital Health Network, to our very first podcast episode of Mission in Motion. Debbie, thank you so much for being here today.
Jenny, thank you for letting me be the first.
Yes, no, there is no other guest we could allow to be the first to launch this podcast.
I'm really excited.
I'm excited too. And the reason I'm most excited is because I'm blessed in the sense that I get to hear your story often, just given the way that we work together and getting to hear you speak at conferences and do different things on behalf of the network. But I think it's a disservice to those who have not heard your amazing story yet and what's really brought you to the role that you're in now. So let's just start there, if that's okay. Are you ready to be in the spotlight, Dev?
I'm ready to be in the spotlight,
Okay.
Jenny.
All right. Okay. So healthcare. What drew you to healthcare?
Well, and Jenny, you've heard this story. So when I was really young, I was 9 years old, and there was this wonderful program on TV, and it was called Medical Center. And there was this amazingly handsome young doctor who was the star of the show. And I fell in love with him, and I fell in love with the show. And I think that's really where I started getting an appreciation, albeit I'm sure it wasn't exactly medically correct, of what healthcare was like. And so that really stayed with me my entire young life. And then when I was in high school, I had the good fortune to work in a nursing home. And I fell in love with the patients I took care of, and I fell in love with their families. I still talk to some of them today. And that's really where my motivation and my love for the medical profession and taking care of people started.
I love that. And you're obviously just a very motivated person, not even in the healthcare space, but as much as you love healthcare in the Christ Hospital, you also love the city of Cincinnati. And I think a lot of that is given your roots here. So tell us a little bit about your background, even before you fell in love with healthcare, that makes you so passionate about our mission of serving this community.
Yeah. I think it really goes back to my upbringing. My parents did not really have a lot of money. In fact, when my father came to Cincinnati, he couldn't even speak English. He spoke German. And he was a tradesman. And, a treat for us was to have a soda pop on a Saturday, and maybe go out to dinner at Ponderosa, which doesn't exist anymore today, on Sunday dinner. And so it was always in his DNA that because of his upbringing that we are on this earth to give back to people. And we used to have make jokes about Christmas because we never knew who was going to show up at our Christmas gatherings, because my grandparents opened their home to whomever needed a place to have a holiday gathering, and we carried that through our family. And to this day, when we have holiday gatherings, anyone who wishes to come and be with us, we can. And again, we didn't have a lot of money, but yet I always saw my parents figuring out a way to volunteer, figuring out a way if they had the funds to give to other people who didn't have as much. And it just became part of my DNA.
I love that, and your dad, I love hearing the stories about him, and your mom, I love the legacy that she left. Can you share, a little bit about what your mom did and kind of the mark she left on this community? Because it's one of my favorite stories that you tell.
Thanks, Jenny. So my mom died suddenly when she was 70 years old. But the story is that when I was growing up, my mom and dad decided that she would stay at home with myself, my brother, who is 2 years younger than I am, and then I had a brother that was 12 years younger. So finally, when my younger brother got into school, Steve, my mom went to work at McDonald's, because back then you could take your kids to school and you could work, and then they would let you leave right in time to go pick the kids up from the school. So she did that for, gosh, 25, 30 years. And, she worked in the drive-through, right? And, my neighbors who frequented the McDonald's that she worked in would come up and say, "I saw your mom this morning. I saw your mom this morning." Well, on the day she passed away, I got text messages from my friends saying, "Where's your mom? Where's your mom? She's not at work." And unfortunately, she had passed away. But because of the tremendous impact that she had on the people that she worked with and on the community, they literally closed the McDonald's store down for 2 days so that all of the team members could come and pay their respects to the family and attend the funeral. And it was up on the sign, "We love you, June." And, it just makes you feel really good because you don't understand what your parents' real impact is on the community many times. And she wasn't rich. She didn't have a college degree, but she just did what she did. She took care of people. She made them feel good about their day. And there you have it.
Mm. Well, she left quite a legacy because you're doing the same.
No, thank
And honestly, I think about, like, where you started and where you are now, and, even from your childhood to starting here as a candy striper, I think what'd you say, 38 years ago?
37 and a half.
37 and a half years. So, what's the journey been here? You're 37 and a half years here at the Christ Hospital Health Network, started as a candy striper, and how did you get to be CEO? What was that journey?
Well, I came here after I went to college and made a decision about a different career path. And I love nursing, so I went to school here to become a nurse. And while I was in nursing school, I was a patient care assistant. That's not what we called ourselves back then, but that's what it was. And then when I graduated, I was a nurse in the ICU. So my job, um, right out of school, amongst another group of my friends, were to open the new neurosurgical intensive care unit. No one would have ever thought they would ask new graduate nurses to do that, but back then there was a huge nursing shortage. And with the great help of some of the people that I still work with today here, and a lot of fortitude, we opened that new intensive care unit. So I stayed in that role as a nurse, and then I became the director of the critical care internship. We call it the residency now, for a number of years. And then in 1996, I got my first job as a manager out on our step down units. And that's really how my management career started. Progressed from there to be a director of critical care and cardiovascular services. And then in 2003, I became the chief nursing officer. So fast forward until about 2010. And for a couple of years, I was the chief nursing officer and the chief information officer. And that was after the health system underwent some changes. And then after that, I was the chief nursing officer and the chief operating officer. And then in November of 2020, I became the CEO.
One of my favorite days of all time.
It was an exciting but a really scary day.
It was an amazing day. I got to work on that announcement, and it was a privilege. I knew we were in good hands on that day, so really appreciate you stepping into that role because let's be honest, it's not for the faint of heart. For anyone that, is at Christ Hospital at any time of the day, you are here. You're the first one here in the morning and usually the last one to leave. So, what is it? What makes you come in every day
Yeah.
and make so many sacrifices for this place?
You know, um, it's really interesting. If you would have asked me 37 years ago and said to me, "You're going to be the CEO of Christ Hospital," I would have said, "You're crazy." Right? But what you learn over time is that this organization is an amazing place. And, there isn't a day that doesn't go by that I don't go out into the community or look at my email or my text messages. And there is someone in the community saying, "Thank you for what you all do." And I've had the amazing privilege to work with thousands and thousands of people over my career here. And I can think of so many times when people said, "You can't, you're never going to be able to achieve." And what I always found is with the shared determination of everybody in that group, we always made it happen. And we always made sure that this community was taken care of in a way that they so richly deserve. So it energizes me. Yes. Are there days when I'm tired? There are. But it energizes me every day because when I walk these hallways or I go out to our ambulatory outpatient centers or our physician offices or wherever I am, I can always find an example of why our team is so amazing.
Yep. Yeah. And they love you. My favorite day of the year, one of my favorites is we usually serve the 3rd shift holiday meal, and those team members are just thrilled to see you. And when you walk the hallway, you know everyone's name, you know what they do, you know what grade their kids are in. So I think it's really special just your ability to be amongst the people, to be amongst all team members and all patients. I know a lot of our meetings, you're getting texts and calls from community members and friends and family, and everything stops because I know you want to help them. So I think it just speaks to your grit and your dedication and compassion for these people, which is
Well,
awesome.
thank you, Jenny. And yes, Christmas meal serving is one of my favorite things to
Yeah.
do on night shift. And we have a great team
Yes.
that comes in every year with us and does that.
And I'm always on time now.
You are. You are.
I
But Jenny, you said something that's really important. It is a privilege to do what I do. And I mean that sincerely. Who else would have the opportunity to look across his community and think every day, how can I make a difference in someone's life?
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody gets that privilege,
Yeah.
right? And so I take that really seriously because people come to us, and sometimes in the best of times, sometimes in the worst of times, and they need something from us. And it's important that we keep our promise.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you definitely keep that promise. I think our team keeps that promise, and I think that shows a lot about the leadership. So I think I need to correct myself because I say that you're always the first one in or the last one out. But if you're not the first one in, the last one out, it's either because you're at a board meeting or at a community, nonprofit function. So, obviously, outside the walls of Christ Hospital, you are still caring for the community, and I know there's some, nonprofits across the city that you're really passionate about and a part of. Can you talk a little bit about what motivates you to be a part of those and what kind of impact you see these organizations making?
Oh, yeah, thanks. What's really important about the nonprofit organizations in this community is that we all live here, right? And there are people that are more fortunate than we are, and there are people that are less fortunate than we are. And I always believe that I've been blessed with all of the things that I have. And if I can figure out ways that I can help those that may not have had the same opportunities, and let's be honest, it's not easy, right? I didn't grow up with tons and tons of money, and I was the first to go to college in my family. And I'm a woman in a profession that years ago was very male dominated, and there still today aren't that many women CEOs in healthcare. And so I've learned that you have to work really hard to get wherever you want to go, but not everybody has the same fortunate opportunities that I've had. And so things like United Way and Arts Wave, and I'm incredibly involved in both of those because, again, it will help people in our community who don't have what we have to be able to do things that they might never be able to get to do, either to go to school or have their kid be ready for kindergarten or attend some arts event that would otherwise not be there if we didn't do that. And then there are some other ones that I participate in, specifically Network for Hope, which is all about organ donation. I believe in organ donation. We have a heart and a kidney transplant program here, and we're a leader in that area. And so we have to continue to send the message that donation is really important.
Yep, yeah. No, I see it all the time, and I'm just so grateful for you. I mean, and I think you inspire so many in the network to get involved outside in the community. We have so many team members that are sitting on boards or active in other nonprofits, or even if it's in their own networks in the schools and the church. And I think that is an example-led approach that kind of trickles down into the organization. So nothing makes me happier that when I go to these events, I see so many Christ Hospital people volunteering or participating, and I think it just provides great representation for the brand. So
Right.
it's pretty awesome.
Well, and again, I think it says something about our team members, whether it is United Way or Arts Wave. I'm also on the Matthew 25 board. And you never know is going to need these organizations, right? And you don't know it until you know it. And so if we can make sure that they're successful, that helps me feel good that if any of our team members ever need it, they're going to be there for them. And if our community needs it, it's going to be there for them as well.
I love that. Just a few more questions, Dev. So, our dear friend Eddie, a favorite of both of ours, he's been trying to get you to participate in his off day series. We've talked about that a few times, right?
We have.
We have. And, well, one, we've had a hard time finding an off day for you to participate.
That might be a little.
A little bit telling, but he's asked me multiple times, like, what activity would we do for Debbie's off day? So I think the people want to know, Deb, when you're not at Christ Hospital, or when you're not at a board meeting or at a fundraising event, what is Debbie Hayes doing?
Well, it depends on what season it is, to be really honest with you. I think everybody knows that during the football season, I'm at the Bengals stadium as many times as I can be, but, I love to ride my bike, so I go for bike rides. The Loveland Bike Trail is a favorite place for me to go.
Right.
I love to play tennis, and so I play tennis indoors. I'm not very good at pickleball, but that's another
All
story,
right.
right?
I think we got some people that play that might want to help you out.
I love to spend time with my family and, my son's 29 now, so I don't really get to spend a lot of time with him, but my nephew, growing up, we spent a lot of time on the baseball field with him, and then I love the arts, and so you might find me at a Broadway series or at the symphony or at a, you know, party in the park.
All right.
Yeah,
People are jotting this down. Like, where can I run into Debbie Hayes? I love it.
yeah.
Well, what are some parting words if you wanted people to hear across the organization that could sum up who Debbie Hayes is and what this organization means to her?
Um, God, that's a great question, Jen. And what I would say to everybody in this organization is that just to remember how special they are. You don't realize it until you run into one of the people in the community that we've really helped. And no matter who it is, I got a letter the other day and it was from a woman who had cancer. And she said to me, the person that came in to clean my room and straighten the bed and things is the person who made a special moment in a day that was otherwise horrible. Or when somebody calls me and says, I wanted a special something or other on my meal tray, and all of a sudden it appeared.
Yeah.
Or I couldn't get my iPad hooked up, and somebody from your team came in and hooked my iPad up so that I could communicate with the outside. And we don't always think about that in what we do every day, whether you're a nurse or a doctor or, again, one of those other team members. Everybody here makes a difference in someone's life, and you're important.
Yeah. I love it. Very imparting words.
Thanks.
So wise. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
So hopefully you've loved this, and hopefully we will continue to make wonderful stories on this podcast. But
Who's next?
well, we got our friend Patrick Kolatek. Kokatek.
Patrick's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah. So he shared a little bit about his experience with Schwartz Rounds, and he's been here. I think he said almost 20 years. So we are very excited to share his story and promote the Schwartz Rounds, and then we'll be highlighting people all across the organization.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Awesome.
excited. So
This is great.
yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
All right.
All right.